Hello, Sanford. You are listening to Sanford Sports Radio. I am your man on the call, Jonathan West, and it is time for another edition of The Howler. We're coming off a bye week this week, and we got to just get right into things. Some situations with recruits have not been going the way that Sanford was really looking for. Luckily, they're still in the race for one of their top targets, the offensive weapon, Byron Gerard. He's going to be coming in actually next week for a visit. Luckily, that's an Eastern Michigan matchup, so I think Sanford stands a good chance of impressing a lot of recruits next week, as a bunch of guys will be coming in. Now, one guy we got to talk about is Sean Taylor Jr., as a lot of people, from what I've been hearing from a lot of different news outlets, are saying that he is already committed to Penn State. I have not seen or heard anything about that on any Penn State website, anything else. He is scheduled for a visit to come to Sanford next week for the Eastern Michigan game. I don't know if he's going to be here or not, but apparently a lot of news sources are already citing that he has signed and committed to the Nittany Lions. I don't believe that yet. Until I see it on my piece of paper here that I've written down all my notes on, I will not believe it. Nick Billings, we talked about this young man a couple weeks ago when we really brought him up. Nothing really much is happening with him. So we'll keep an eye on him as the weeks go on. Eric Peters, though, had a brief discussion with the coaching staff about a week ago, and it really got him thinking about the school even more so. Originally, he had said he wasn't coming to Sanford. One conversation, and boom, he's interested again. And that is great. As you folks remember, Peters is a big man and could help that defensive line steadily by coming here to Sanford. And he will be here next week for the Eastern Michigan game. A lot of recruits coming in. Now, I brought up a couple weeks ago, Samson Stratton. Some fans were really high on him. I was hearing a lot of buzz from him. Saw some tape on him along with the coaching staff. And this kid I brought up, I thought that in a couple weeks he would be a high priority for the coaching staff. Well, guess what? He is now got Sanford number one on his board. So that is enormous. Stratton will be possibly coming to Sanford as long as things stay as they seem. Shea Faraday, the young defensive end from Toronto, he'll be coming in next week to join a number of other recruits. It's great to have all these guys coming in at once. We're going to see a lot of guys that I think are going to be teammates next season coming in next week for the Eastern Michigan game. And it's going to be a game that I think that Sanford's really going to excel at. Eastern Michigan, not a dominant team. Sanford, I think, is one of the top teams in the MAC now. Let me take that back. On paper, they're one of the top teams in the MAC. So I think they stand a good chance of being very impressive next week. Jean-Paul Valley, another guy that's going to be coming in and visiting next week. I would not be surprised if he comes in, watches the game, goes back and signs on the dotted line to commit here to Sanford after that game's over. Would not all be surprised. Jean-Paul Valley, from what I've been hearing, has fallen in love with the Coyotes. He is ecstatic to come visit Sanford next week, and I'm happy for him. He's a weapon himself, another offensive weapon, kind of special teams weapon, I think. Joe Baker, the running back, we talked plenty about him. He's also going to be joining all those other recruits next week. He's going to be coming in to join those recruits in week 8. So we got a lot of guys coming in. A lot of big name recruits. The issue's going to be if all of those recruits are going to kind of, look at it as a positive outing. That's going to be the question. I hope that this doesn't force the coaching staff to overthink things and change up a strategy they might have for Eastern Michigan. That's the only thing that having all these recruits coming in worries me about. If the coaching staff is going to be thinking, we got to do this now and we got to do that to impress these guys. Hopefully they're not thinking that. when time comes for these recruits to come to Sanford. Robert Kennedy, he will be visiting from what I'm hearing. Right now, it doesn't sound like he's made a total decision on Boston College. But he will be coming in to visit, but that will happen in week 10, not next week against Eastern Michigan. So, Robert Kennedy will be coming in for the Ohio game, I believe, if I remember the schedule correctly. He'll be coming in for the Ohio game instead of the Eastern Michigan game next week. Not a big surprise there, as him and Baker apparently don't get along well. So I'm happy that he's not coming in with Joe Baker. Apparently those two kind of bicker a bit. But Brian Bowie, another big guy to keep in mind. He'll be coming in week 10 if he doesn't commit. There are a number of rumors saying that ECU has locked him in place. He will be visiting ECU if he doesn't commit in week 11. But as far as I've been hearing, it sounds like ECU may have already gotten him to sign. I'm not sure, but nothing I've heard has said he is a commit to Eastern Carolina just yet. Gordon Sutton, the cornerback, he's another guy to keep in mind as the weeks go by. He's become very impressed with this secondary. He'll be coming in for the Eastern Michigan game as well. A lot of names to keep in mind here, folks. A lot of names. Next week, I'm sure here on the Howler will be, sorry about that. Got a little sniffle going on here, but apparently, I'm sure we'll keep in mind all these names and we'll go over the big ones again next week in the Howler. But Gordon Sutton's a guy, keep in mind, who's been eyeballing this secondary ever since they've really started to get on a roll here as of late. Antonio Perkins, of course, the tight end we talked about. He is interested in Sanford, but it does look like Oregon State is his main priority. He kind of wants to stay a little close to home. So don't be surprised if Perkins decides not to come to Sanford in the long run. We'll see how that battle works out. As Jason Giles has decided, he called the Sanford coaching staff, told them, West Coast is my home. I'm not leaving. So no Jason Giles for the Coyotes, that's for sure. As let's talk about the players of the week last week. For week 5's players of the week, it was just Toledo rolling everything as their safety and quarterback rolled through. Last week, conveniently, Khalil Hodge, the middle linebacker for Buffalo, we'll see him this weekend against Buffalo. He had a phenomenal game in a loss to Arkansas. So that's something to keep in mind. He had a phenomenal game against SEC competition. That's going to be scary. Art Tompkins on the offensive side for the player of the week. And while we're talking about Khalil Hodge, I just want to bring up, we'll talk more about him at the end of the program here, but the guy is scary. This guy is scary good, and he is probably the biggest scare factor, if you ask me, with this week's game. At least on that defensive side. And I am frightened that the offensive line, if he's blitzing, isn't going to be able to handle him at all. That's just right now how I'm seeing things. As the MAC conference, very interesting situation right now. Of course, Sanford has yet to play any MAC games. They're the only team in the conference to not start conference play. They'll start, of course, against Buffalo this weekend. They're right in the middle of the mix. Right now, leading the East is Miami of Ohio, but we saw how that went last year. Hopefully, Sanford can fight back and take the conference away from Miami just like they did last year. As let's talk about some games that went down last week. We had Northern Illinois beat Eastern Michigan in overtime. So that's an interesting situation. Maybe Eastern Michigan won't be as easy of an opponent as we thought. Miami of Ohio over Akron by only 3 points, 17-14. Kent State took out the Chippewas 27-22. Ball State beat Ohio, which is a surprise, 34-31. Arkansas defeating Buffalo 28-7. I think we all knew that would happen. And Toledo beating Western Michigan in a big victory for Toledo once again. Western Michigan not looking so hot this season. Now let's look at this week's games for the MAC. Army is headed to Miami of Ohio. That ought to be an interesting contest, to say the least. The Michigan teams taking each other on. Eastern Central, going to be a fun rivalry game there for some MAC competition. Ball State is headed to Akron, and Western Michigan is headed to Ohio. But what's more important, we'll talk about this week's matchup for Sanford, their first MAC conference game of the year. And conveniently, Kirk Herbstreit actually has this Sanford team as his choice in this matchup. I'm a little surprised at that, seeing how iffy this team has been this season. There's been no consistency. And if that continues, I don't know if they can win this. This is not a high-powered team by any means. I think these two teams are fairly similar to a point. I think the quarterback edge goes to Sanford even without Tanner Patrick. I think a Dante Anderson or even a Kenny West can outplay Julian Gaither, the quarterback for Buffalo. But on the defensive side of the football, there are a number of players we have to be weary about when it comes to this Buffalo team. So we got to keep those things in mind, of course. It doesn't help that you're coming off of a bye week after a humiliating defeat. Yes, it was the BCS National Champions, but you didn't put up a point. 49-0. This Sanford team has a lot to prove this week. They have a ton to prove. So I'm hoping that this team plays their hearts out this week. I'm hoping that defense looks sharper than they ever have. I want to see Hollis, Irvin, Flowers, and Townsend assault the offensive line. Claude Fleming's going to be back full go from what I've been told by Coach Wolf. Apparently he has passed through the concussion protocol entirely, so that's a huge thing to keep in mind. So we'll have Claude Fleming back full go, 100%, probably seeing about 20 carries as we normally see him get. Tyrone Jennings apparently looking to get a good amount of carries as well, so we should see a good split. So this offense and defense has to prove something this week. They have to get this W, I think. But let's move along from that, as I could go on for days about how this team has to prove themselves this week. To talk about our opponents in Buffalo, we already talked plenty about Khalil Hodge, the middle linebacker, who is a force of nature in that defense. He is the leader of that Buffalo defense, and we're going to probably be talking about him all weekend long when we get to UB Stadium. So expect to hear his name a lot, I would assume, this week. If that offense can keep his name out of the box score, that would be amazing. But another guy to keep in mind is number one corner Cameron Lewis. We always talk about the number one corners because they are covering the number one receiver, Herb Fellows. And Fellows has not had a good year. It has been a very rough time for Herb Fellows this year. And I think a lot of people will point towards the play of Tanner Patrick and how poor that has been to why Fellows has not done well. But I think you'll look at it either way. It's just been a tough overall year. He's been well covered by good corners. He hasn't found openings. Rob Thomas, you can argue, has found more clear running room and more room to catch a ball than Herb Fellows has. And Fellows has had some drops this year. So it's been a very, very inconsistent season for the senior, and that scares, I think, a lot of people in Sanford right now. Now, I talked earlier about Julian Gaither and how I believe this offense for Sanford wins the quarterback battle no matter what quarterback you put in there. Gaither is a very similar quarterback to what we've seen. He's got some mobility to him. He's got a decent arm. He's a sophomore, so he has time to grow for this Buffalo team, and I think he's got some promise to him. I don't think he's going to be an NFL caliber player anytime soon by any means, but the kid does have some promise. If I had to compare him to somebody on Sanford's team right now, I definitely compare him to a Kenny West. He doesn't have the arm strength to compete with big-time quarterbacks, but he might be able to beat you with his legs if he's given the opportunity. And I know you're probably thinking maybe he's more of a Tanner Patrick, but he's not as polished as Patrick is right now. And that may come to a surprise as I'm saying polished when Patrick has had a very poor season in terms of interceptions. But that is the situation. He's not as polished as Patrick is, so he's much more of a Kenny West in this type of situation. Another name to keep in mind, and this is a guy we're going to see all day more than likely on that offensive side of the football for Buffalo, is Jonathan Hawkins, their running back. I've got a feeling it might be a just power versus power game here with Hawkins versus Fleming. I could see that being a staple to this week's game. Both teams, I think, are going to want to run the football, and it's going to be whoever can run the football better gets the W. Now, a key component here is the rushing touchdown differential. Hawkins already has 2 on the season. Fleming has yet to get in the end zone. Now, that concussion had a little bit of an issue to do with that, but still no touchdowns this year, rushing at least, for Fleming. And that's got to be hurting him mentally, I'm sure. He probably needs a touchdown on the ground to really psych him up and get things going. And I think this is a perfect game, as it's probably going to be run for run with these two teams. And that's all the time we've got for this week's edition of The Howler. I thank you folks for listening here on the Sanford Sports Radio. I've been Jonathan West, and this week's going to be an interesting one. MAC play commences against Buffalo this week. We will see you folks this Saturday. Hello, Sanford. You are listening to the Sanford Sports Radio, and it is game day as we are here at the University of Buffalo, the UB Stadium, as Sanford is set to start MAC conference play. They are the only team in the MAC that is yet to play a conference game. That ends today as Sanford takes on Buffalo. They are favored to win this, which is very interesting. I've talked plenty about it in the Howler. It's been a very inconsistent year for the Coyotes, and they need to prove themselves here this week, coming off a bye week after the biggest loss in school history. 0-49 to Oklahoma. Yes, BCS national champions. I already brought that up in the Howler, but it's still, you didn't put up a point. I'm going to be saying it all game long. I'm sure this team has something to prove, and they want to prove it this week against Buffalo. And here, proving it at Buffalo against them, maybe even embarrassing them, would be great for this school. They need that momentum to get them going. It's all conference play after this as we're underway. That took me off guard. I just wanted to talk about the conference as Patrick Jackson to return this one. The redshirt freshman, he's finding room though around that left side and down at the 49-yard line. A great beginning for Sanford on the kickoff as 1st and 10 is a quick handoff to Claude Fleming. He won't find much room, gets back to the line though. Claude Fleming going to get a handful of carries today as he is back and healthy after that concussion. As 2nd and 10 turns into a 1-yard gain for Duran Costello on a catch there. Just simple drag route that couldn't go very far. 3rd and 10 now is Tanner Patrick to throw. He's going deep. No one was really open, and that's intercepted. Johnson with the pick, as you can almost look at it as a punt, really. David Johnson gets the interception. I look at that as mainly just Tanner Patrick throwing it up. He didn't see anyone open. Took a shot to Tremaine Dingle. It was airmailed easily for David Johnson to take, but it's kind of a punt in this situation. Buffalo's first trip now with the football as it's 1st and 10 out of the pistol. They hand off to Hawkins. I said in the Howler, I believe this was going to be just both teams really trying to run the football. And that's still what I believe it's going to be, as the no huddle goes for another run to Hawkins here. He's going to lose one, though, on that carry. Elliott Flowers on the tackle. As 3rd and 9, the no huddle continues. Gaither looks to throw, goes deep, and he overshoots his intended target. Believe that was Mabry, and that will fall incomplete. Buffalo having to punt early, as there's the boot to Patrick Jackson, who's going to return it. The redshirt freshman already past midfield. Can't find much yardage there, but it's okay. They're already in Buffalo territory. 1st and 10. Shotgun formation. Patrick looks to throw. He's going towards the sidelines, and it's intercepted again. This is Lamore on the pick this time. That's interception number 2 already. That is the first play of this drive, and it's the second interception of the day. I said that Tanner Patrick was more polished than Julian Gaither, even with all these interceptions. Right now, he is not supporting my claim at all. As 1st and 10 here for Buffalo, it's Hawkins on the run, and that's going to be a gain of 6. He was able to find a little bit of a hole around that right side to cut back in and gain 6 on. 2nd and 4 now as the no huddle continues. Hawkins fights off one tackle. Would have been Jason Turner bringing him down, but he's going to gain 2, and it's going to be 3rd and 2 coming up. No huddle continues. 3rd and 2 here. As looks like Gaither getting the play from the sidelines. Hands off to Hawkins. It's a running drive here. 8 yards for Hawkins on that one. Off the draw. As 1st and 10 continues. They're trying to wear down this defense quick. As Gaither takes the snap. Goes short to Mabry. And that's going to be a solid gain of around 7 or 8. As he's brought down by one of the Trevor trio. That is Dylan Trevor. As 2nd and 3 handoff goes to Hawkins. Hawkins finds room, but he can't get it all. They'll give it to him, though. I thought he was at least inches short. Either way, it looks like Hawkins is down after that 1st down. 1st and 10. Now Pickett in the ball game. Cameron Pickett with a gain of nothing, getting just back to the line there. We'll give you an update on Hawkins and let you know how he's doing when we get something back here. 2nd and 10. Gaither almost connects with the wrong color jersey. That was James Bryant on coverage. Beautiful coverage by the outside linebacker. 3rd and 10. Gaither looks to throw outside to Pickett. He gets the reception and enough for the 1st. That's a big 1st down, 12-yard gain by Cameron Pickett. And we have gotten an update on Jonathan Hawkins. It isn't much. He just got the wind knocked out of him. He should be back in this ball game, they assume. However, there may be some lingering effects. They're not sure. So he could be out for longer. He may come back soon. We're not sure just right now. As 2nd and 9 after a 1-yard screen play there. As a false start here for Buffalo. Somebody jumping a little bit early. That'll move them back 5 yards here on 2nd down. 2nd and 12 here is Gaither looks to throw. He finds his intended target, but none can hang on. That's incomplete, and it will be 3rd and 14. Hanson on the coverage, and it's been a while since Hanson's really gotten anything going since Flash Gibson has taken over in the slot. Gaither throwing over the middle. He can't connect with Smith as it's a drop, and that will mean 4th down. Buffalo punts back to Sanford as they go back to work now on offense. A handoff to Fleming, and he can't find much room. Only a gain of 1 there. 2nd and 9 under center. Patrick now goes to Tyrone Jennings, who's checked into the ball game. It's going to be a gain of 3 or 4 for Jennings, and he looks to be clutching at his knee. Hopefully it's nothing serious. He'll come off the field. Patrick now on 3rd down. It's a completion. 20 yards to her Fellows. Finally, Fellows get some room and a nice 20-yard gain for the man wearing number 1. That's exactly what this offense needed to maybe spark them here. 1st and 10. Out of the shotgun, the handoff goes to Fleming, and he can't find room. He's going to lose 1 on that play. He was just corralled quickly, and Khalil Hodge came down to finish the job. as a huge play there by Hodge. 2nd and 11, play action. And towards the sideline, it's intercepted. Great coverage on Duran Costello, who was the intended target. The 3rd pick of the first quarter by Tanner Patrick. I got to give it to him. He's better thank his defense for being able to keep Buffalo off the scoreboard. As 1st and 10 for Buffalo goes the wrong way for them, as that is an Elliott Flowers sack. He came right through as Sanford brought the house to Gaither, and he literally had no one in front of him. The center didn't know who to block, and in came Flowers. 2nd and 13 now after the Flowers sack. Gaither looks to throw, goes deep, intercepted Richard Cruz. That's number 3 on the season. He's having a phenomenal senior season. If you want to talk about someone who is just performing extremely well. Cruz has only gone 2 games without an interception this season. It's been a phenomenal year for Richard Cruz, and he can't perform any better, I don't think. As 1st and 10 now for Sanford as they're back on offense. It's a 2-yard option run here by Patrick. It was a smart play to keep a hold of the football. He couldn't find much room. 2nd and 8, and it's going to be the last play of the first quarter. Is oh my God, that hit on her fellows. It's a gain of 9 and enough for the first, but a hell of a shot laid out fellows on the slant pattern. And that will take us to the end of the first quarter. It's all tied up at 0 apiece. Sanford now trying to move the ball without a turnover on offense. You're listening to Sanford Sports Radio. Your second quarter is up next. Hello and welcome back, folks, to the Sanford Sports Radio. I am Jonathan West. It's 0-0 right now as a first down run here for Claude Fleming. Can only gain 3 yards. He couldn't find much room, and he hasn't been able to all day. 2nd and 7 is Tyrone Jennings back in the ball game. It was just a short injury as play action. And look at that. Tremaine Dingle was running a short pattern. They decided not to throw it to him, apparently. I don't know why Patrick didn't think to throw it to him originally. But he changes his pattern, and a big 18-yard gain as he took a shot but hung on. Coyotes now in the red zone as Patrick going to Jennings on a screen here. That didn't work out as that's a loss of 1. I think they're trying to play it safe right now with Tanner Patrick. Go with short plays and give him stuff that he can kind of control fairly well. Not make him try and throw the football too far down the field now. 2nd and 11, the handoff goes to Fleming. He sheds 1 tackle as it is a gain of 6. Solid carry there for Fleming. That's been so far his best of the day. 3rd and 5 now. Patrick dropping back. He looks to throw over the middle, intercepted by Tatum Slack. You have got to be kidding me. That is interception number 4 on the day. I'm not sure what's gotten into the head of Tanner Patrick, but it's not anything good. He's 5 of 9, folks. Those 4 are all interceptions. It's 1st and 10 for Julian Gaither and company as he misses his intended target here on 1st down. Just overthrew him. As 2nd and 10, Gaither still in the shotgun. They're deep in their own territories. That one's batted up. Shane Townsend with his hands in the air, able to bat that ball. And that was almost a terrible situation for Buffalo. As 3rd and 10, in comes Deshaun Hollis. That is a sack force fumble, recovered luckily for Buffalo by their offensive line. But what a play. Hollis just coming straight in. Nobody decided to block him. And he became a big issue for Julian Gaither. Just assaulting the QB. Buffalo punting out of the back of their own end zone, and Patrick Jackson gets a chance at a nice return here. Can't find much room as he's brought down after a gain of 7, but they're already in great field position. 1st and 10 from around the 35 here. Patrick goes down as he couldn't find anybody open downfield. It is a sack and a loss of 11 for Justin Brandon. Well, that great field position is now a little bit worse. 2nd and 21 coming up here for Sanford. As 2nd and 21, it's a handoff on a jet sweep for Patrick Jackson. The first handoff of this young man's career. He has a lot of speed. It didn't work out that time. Only a gain of 4. But that is a very useful weapon right there for this team. As Patrick throws here on 3rd and 17. Harrison Frazier, a big 30-yard first down. That is exactly what this team needed. Frazier downfield was wide open. Patrick able to find him. And they finally got that big play they desperately needed right now. 1st and 10 here now at the 14. Handoff goes to Claude Fleming, but he's bottled up quick again. Gets back to the line, and that is it. Tatum Slack, the man on the tackle. 2nd and 10 here, still in the I form. Patrick going to drop back. He's rolling out right. Looks like he's going to take off instead of throw. That's going to be a gain of 5 or 6 on that run. 3rd and 4, single back formation. Patrick going to drop back. Looking for an intended target. Throws, nearly intercepted. That was in double coverage. He was feeling the pressure from the pressure coming in at him, but you can't be doing that. You cannot be doing that. They settle for the Jackson Stone field goal, but you cannot do that. As Sammy Carter boots this one away, Tatum Slack going to return, and some great blocks there by Buffalo. Slack with a great return up past the 40 to the 42. An amazing return by Tatum Slack, and Buffalo's got good starting field position on this drive. Hand off to Cameron Pickett on 1st down. I'm being told that it seems like the injury was a little worse than expected. It is a concussion for Jonathan Hawkins. He will not return to the ballgame, which means it's all Cameron Pickett, as that is an 11-yard rush and a 1st down for Buffalo. The no-huddle continues here with under 2 minutes left in the half. Gaither goes to the screen. It's been all Pickett so far, and another nice block by Buffalo. A good stiff arm there on Pat Riley. A gain of 17 by Pickett. Enough for another Buffalo 1st down. 1st and 10 here as the no-huddle continues. Gaither looks to throw. Another screen. No, he just decides to toss it away as the pressure was coming tenfold. 2nd and 10 here, pistol formation. Gaither to throw. He's going near the sideline, but overthrows his intended target just away out of bounds, out of the way of anybody. It's 3rd and 10 now. As Gaither looks to throw. He's got an open man that got behind Flash Gibson. That is Jeremy Smith, 29-yard touchdown reception. That's the last thing Sanford needed to give up. Their defense did not need to give up a play like that. Smith got behind Flash Gibson and just an easy touchdown at that point. Just had to outrace everybody to the end zone, and it worked out. 1:23 remains. There's still time in this half as Patrick Jackson will get a chance to return here. Some nice blocks. They're up past the 40, and that's going to be down and around the 45-yard line. That is great as it's 1st and 10. Patrick off play action just got the ball away before he got hit. Falls incomplete. 2nd and 10. Patrick once again to throw. Goes across the middle and it's intercepted. That's Collier with the pick. And he's breaking out of every tackle. You have got to be kidding me. 5 touchdown Buffalo. It's a pick 6 for Buffalo as Jordan Collier breaks out of every would-be tackle to bring him down. Folks, I don't know what to say. That's 5 interceptions by Tanner Patrick in the first half. I don't want to say there needs to be a change, but this has just been terrible for Patrick. He has looked terrible this season as Patrick Jackson returns this one. And he's got room 45 down at midfield. That's a great return. 41 more yards. He's having a great day returning this football. But a change might have to be made, and it looks like Coach Wolf has decided to make one as Dante Anderson enters the ball game. 1st and 10, a 9-yard connection to Claude Fleming, his first reception of the ball game. As 45 seconds remain, it looks like the Coyotes running some no-huddle here. Anderson running this offense. This seems to be just a thread, or a trend that continues for this Coyotes team every year. A deep ball. That's Rob Thomas. Touchdown, Sanford. 42-yard touchdown strike. Anderson to Thomas. I can't believe it. Is this just going to be what happens every year, folks? The starter can't handle the limelight and the backup comes in and makes the plays needed? Because this is the second time now. Second year we've seen Dante Anderson do this before. He did it with Parker Dillon, and now he's doing it with Tanner Patrick. There's no gain here for Julian Gaither, as he was just trying to get a little bit of yardage on the option. Can't do so. That'll take us to halftime. It's 10-14. Buffalo on top. You're listening to Sanford Sports Radio. It's the second half, folks. Welcome back to the Sanford Sports Radio. It's 10-14 as Cameron Pickett can't go anywhere on that run. A loss to Jason Turner, the man who came up and brought Pickett down. Buffalo has the football here to begin here. 2nd and 12. Gaither looks to throw off play action. It's intercepted. That is freshman corner Dustin Jordan. Great play by the young man who a lot of people didn't think was going to be here at Sanford. The coaching staff thought he'd be headed to Tennessee. They ran out of scholarships, and he is a Coyote. As 1st and 10, it looks like Patrick's back in the ball game, or at least in the pistol formation he is. A gain of 8 on that run. Well, this is interesting, as yes indeed, here comes Dante Anderson. Handoff goes to Tyrone Jennings, a 1-yard run. It looks like they're going to run a 2-quarterback system now for the rest of this ball game, I assume. 3rd and 1, Anderson hands off out of the I-form to Claude Fleming. He'll get just enough for the first down. This is going to be an interesting ball game now, to say the least, as Anderson is taking over the main quarterback snaps. Under center once again is Anderson. They go play action. As he's taking his time, looks to the end zone. That's intercepted. Tatum slack. The intended target was Herb Fellows. And I want to say that Anderson believed that Fellows was going to continue to try and run in front of Slack. And Slack just came up in front of him. But it's another interception on the day for Sanford. They have not done well today. Neither team has. It's been turnover filled for just every quarterback. Is another incompletion here for Buffalo. 2nd and 10 as the man in motion's Mabry. Gaither to throw again. Over the middle, can't connect. As none or numb. I couldn't exactly see how you pronounce that, but I believe that he just dropped that one. It's just another clear drop for Buffalo. It's another deep ball, and that one is batted away. Gaither can't hit his intended target as Turner was on coverage. Great field position here for Sanford. Once again, it's Fellows with another reception. 13 yards from Anderson. As 1st and 10, single back formation. Anderson hands off to Fleming, and he stays on his feet as he stumbled. It's only going to be a gain of 2, but hey, a gain of 2 is better than nothing right now. 2nd and 8. Anderson hands off to Tyrone Jennings. He's up the gut, and that's going to be an 8-yard gain and enough for a new set of downs. It's a 2 running back system and apparently a 2 quarterback system. This is a very strange situation as Fleming takes the handoff around the left side. Block set. Touchdown, Claude Fleming. First of the year, 23 yards. That is exactly what this offense needed. It's 17-14 now as Sanford has taken back the lead. 1st and 10 for Buffalo. And it looks like this defense is feeling it, as that is James Bryant who came up for that tackle of Pickett. A loss of 2. Second and 12. Gaither looks to throw. He connects with Pickett on the screen, and that's going to be a gain of 2 for Pickett. He gains the yards he lost on that screen, nothing more. The no-huddle continues as it's 3rd and 10. And Gaither getting the play from the sidelines, takes the snap. Throws on the run, and that should have been picked. Ronnie Hansen on coverage. It should have been an interception, but it will go back to the Coyotes at least. The Coyotes back on offense, go back to the ground. It's Claude Fleming with a gain of 5. As he's now had a much better day after that 23-yard run. Handoff now to Tyrone Jennings as he finds enough room for the first down. It's a gain of 6, and it looks like Sanford's just going to try and kill some clock here. As 1st and 10, though, Patrick in on the pistol formation, and he throws the football. That is a first down. I forgot Tremaine's name here for just a second. It escaped me. Believe Tremaine Diggs on the play is another option here by Tanner Patrick. It is a handoff to Jennings. My mind's been racing at how insane this game has been turnover-wise, and really the seemingly working 2-quarterback system right now. Claude Fleming with a 1-yard gain here on 2nd down. That'll bring up 3rd and 4 now. 3rd and 4 in the strong side or strong eye formation, and that was just a poor throw on Anderson's part. Directly at Collier. That is his 2nd interception of the game. Folks, we have a total of 9 turnovers. 9 interceptions in this ball game. That's absolutely insanity. 7 on the way of Sanford, 2 on the way of Buffalo. As Gaither runs right into Deshaun Hollis on 1st down here for Buffalo. That is the 2nd sack of the day for Hollis. And that was probably the easiest sack I think he'll ever get in his career. Gaither runs literally right into the big man. That's got to be like running into a brick wall, I would assume. As 2nd and 17, Gaither to throw, intercepted. Jason Turner on the pick. 10, count them, 10 total interceptions today. This has been absolutely insane and turnover filled. As 1st and 10, Dante Anderson to throw the football here on 1st down. It is a gain of nothing as Fleming gets back to the line and he is down. Hopefully this is not much as we go to the end of the 3rd quarter here. Sanford up 17-14. Hopefully Fleming is okay. Your 4th quarter is up just after this. You're listening to the Sanford Sports Radio. Welcome back, everyone, to the Sanford Sports Radio. It is the 4th quarter of play now beginning as Tyrone Jennings gets the handoff. It's only a gain of 3. We have gotten word that the Claude Fleming injury is not much. It's just a slight injury. He should be fine. May even be back in the ball game. There's a throw here from Tanner Patrick. It's intercepted. Tatum Slack, interception number 3. 8 total turnovers, all interceptions on the way of the Coyotes. 6 by Tanner Patrick. I can't comprehend it, folks. Turnover filled today as Cameron Pickett will take the handoff here on 1st down for Buffalo, a gain of 9. As it sets up 2nd and 1 as the no-huddle continues for Buffalo. They get the play from the sideline. And it will be another handoff to Pickett. 7-yard gain and a 1st down for Buffalo. 1st and 10. Pickett's going to take the handoff again. It's 4 yards here as they continue to run the football. Maybe they're trying to kill a lot of clock and go down the field with it. That'd be a smart move, I think, on Buffalo's part here. They continue the no-huddle, and on 2nd and 6, Gaither gets caught up on a defender. Believe that was Hollis, as that will be a gain of about 1 as he stumbled his way to a gain. 3rd and 5, and Gaither's just going to give it to Pickett. He's not going to find any running room there, as maybe a half yard or a gain of 1, as Joe Irvin was the man on the tackle. Dante Anderson and the offense come back out as Tyrone Jennings with a 2-yard gain. Claude Fleming is back in the ball game, and I'm sorry, it's not a 2-yard gain, it's a 2-yard loss. As 2nd and 12 in the shotgun, Anderson rolling out. He goes deep and nearly intercepted. His intended target, Tremaine Dingle, is the receiver that I messed up the name earlier. And I apologize to Tremaine Dingle. He's been here for 3 years now, and I couldn't get his name right. It's Patrick Jackson, the man on that catch. 30-yard reception from Anderson to Jackson. As that's a big play they needed, as I've been bouncing all over the place here today on this radio forecast. Not in the greatest of fields today. Think you folks could tell on the Howler. As the handoff goes to Fleming on 1st down. It's a gain of 3. I would advise Sanford just to run the football here, run clock, and take time away from Buffalo as they continue to go on the ground. That's Tyrone Jennings spinning off of one would-be tackle and gaining 7 yards. I will say I'm liking this 2-back situation they've got going on here. As 3rd and 1 handoff goes to Antoine Bradford. We hadn't heard much from the fullback, as that's only it would have been a 1-yard gain, but he didn't even get back to the line apparently. I'm calling it about half a yard short. Or half a yard loss. As Jackson Stone makes the long kick. It is good. It's 20-14 as the freshman kicker boots another long one. 1st and 10, Julian Gaither. And he can't connect with his intended target, just throws it out of bounds. It'll be 2nd and 10, 3 minutes left on this game. Handoff goes to Cameron Pickett. That's going to be a gain of 8. That's a solid pickup there. If Buffalo can continue this, that will be huge for them. No huddle continues as 3rd and 2, pistol formation. Gaither hands off to Pickett, and it will be enough for the 1st down, a gain of 6. As 1st and 10, everyone getting back to their places here. The no huddle continues as Gaither to throw. Clock is running. Jeremy Smith with the reception takes a big shoulder from Jason Turner. As they continue the no huddle after the 1st down. Pickett with another carry. And that's going to get them just past midfield with a 2-yard gain. The clock continues to tick. They do have all 3 timeouts though. 2nd and 8. Gaither takes the snap. He's going to throw. Connects with Smith. Well, wait a minute. Was that intercepted? Turnover number 12 on the day. They've got a replay on the screen, and that was a pick. Richard Cruz, interception number 4, and that was amazing. The call stands on the field, and now it's just running out the clock as there goes Tyrone Jennings. A big 23-yard 1st down by Jennings. Another 1st down will end this ball game. As 1st and 10, handoff goes to Jennings. He's only going to gain 2 there. If Sanford can pick up a 1st down, it's game over, folks. Well, Tanner Patrick in the game. There go option. He's got plenty of room in front of him. 1st down and more. He slides. 22-yard gain. And that, folks, will seal this game. To think, the man who threw 6 interceptions is the man who sealed the game for this team on a 1st down run. Your player of the game is Deshaun Hollis, the big defensive end, picking up 2 sacks and, of course, a forced fumble today. A big day for him. But now the question is, who's the quarterback? Both quarterbacks did not look good. Anderson did make some big plays. He didn't throw 6 interceptions, but he did throw, I believe, 2. Or maybe 3. I am unsure. 2 or 3. It wasn't a clean game by anyone's part here, and today it was a sloppy, turnover-filled mess. As Sanford does win your final once again, 2014 here in Buffalo. But we're going to be talking about this next week, I'm sure. Who is going to start for Sanford? It's going to be a giant question mark. Is it going to be deja vu seeing Dante Anderson take over a starting job once again? Or does Tanner Patrick keep the job and hope this coaching staff can get him to stop forcing that ball and getting turnovers? I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen this week and what decisions will be made by this football team. All I do know is decisions need to be made. They're 1-0 in conference, but it was a sloppy way to get there. Once again, 2014 your final, Sanford victorious in a sloppy one. I've been Jonathan West. You've been listening to Sanford Sports Radio. We will see you next week, and we'll find out who will be the starting QB.